Hello, folks. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Plucking Petals podcast with James and Kyle. As always, I am Kyle.
And I'm James.
As we go a little something like, little something like this.
It's all about the good, bad, love, hate. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm tired because you're over here at 8:30 and I'm an old man and this is my bedtime.
I will give you more credit. I am over here at currently 9:11.
Is it 9?
It is a little past 9. So I apologize. I asked if we could do a quick podcast because I'm going to be gone the majority of the weekend and I don't know when I'm going to be back. Because I'm going to be going to my cousin's wedding in Columbus. So I asked if we could do this so I can get this done.
Here's a stat I heard once that I'm not sure if it's valid or not.
Okay.
40% of the United States population is in a 4-hour drive of Columbus, and 80% of it is within a 10-hour drive of Columbus, Ohio.
That's an insane stat, and I love every single second of that. Oh my God, where did you learn that?
I think it was back when I was watching a lot of StarCraft 2.
Okay.
Right when it came out, and they were considering, because esports was starting to pick up more in the United States. You know, it was always big in Korea.
Yeah.
And it's still pretty big now, like with Twitch and stuff, but they were considering building like a physical location, and Columbus was one of the
main hubs?
The spots they were considering for their arena, and I think that
Okay.
was the reason.
Okay.
Like, you miss the West Coast, but like 10 hours from Columbus, you got like New York and Boston and stuff.
And it's such a centralized hub, too, because Columbus has most airports, I believe.
I have no idea about that.
I'm just guessing.
I do know, like, the freeway system that goes through it, 71 north-south.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of places all the way down into Florida.
Hell yeah, you can.
And then
you literally take mostly 71 all the way down to Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
and then 70 that goes east-west, like, that is the freeway you take through Colorado to get to the mountains. So, like,
Okay.
you just, like, get down to Columbus and roll all the way to Vail, baby.
Just keep rolling. Yes, well, thank you for doing a late night podcast.
Yeah.
This is weird because we normally do a...
Welcome to Plucking Petals After Dark.
Hey, folks, we're taking callers all evening. Let me know about your sexual problem.
I think my late night name's going to be Rick. I like that. Thank you for calling. This is Dirty Rick.
This is Dirty Rick, and this is Good Time Gerald.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Plucking
Welcome
Petals After Dark.
to the Plucking Petals After Dark.
I think that's all the legs that's got.
Yeah, there's no more jokes there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rick, did you watch the new episode of Rick and Morty?
I did.
Did you like it? How are you liking this season?
So this season of Rick and Morty, I think, is actually very good.
Okay.
That last episode, Justin Roiland was the only voice actor.
I know.
Yeah. So
Isn't
it was
that
just,
crazy?
Just like 30 minutes of one guy talking to himself.
Well, no, it said it was also starring Jeff B. Davis.
I saw that name.
But I don't know where he was.
Who voiced someone that wasn't a Rick or a Morty?
Exactly. That's okay. So in the Rick and Morty episode, they went into the Citadel of Ricks, which is just either a Rick or a Morty character in some different capacity, whether it be a Morty that has a cowboy hat or a Morty that is just left-handed.
For those of you that don't know, Rick and Morty is a cartoon show created by Dan Harmon, creator of
Justin
Community, and Justin Roiland. I don't know what else he's done.
Just a bunch of small stuff. But the joke is that Justin Roiland plays the two main characters, Rick and Morty. He is the voice of both of them. And there is a whole episode that was just different versions of Rick and Morty for a half an hour. And it was fucking impressive.
It's really good.
It was really good. It tackled on race relations. It tackled on presidential
and
races.
how hard it is to be a cop in a corrupt society.
Exactly. And like being one of them, well, being one of them and understanding them, but also like having to do your job at the same time and where like the line is and like your moral compass.
And this all started as the Rick and Morty, is a one-off skit online that was just making fun of Back to the Future. Because
Yeah.
Rick is Marty. I'm sorry, Rick is Doc Brown.
Yeah.
And Morty is Marty.
Yeah.
And it just ended with like some grotesque genital licking, and that was the joke.
Morty had to lick his balls to like go back in time correctly. I don't know. It was a whole
Or he
weird
didn't.
thing.
I don't remember. I actually didn't even think the skit was all that funny, but
I thought it was great.
I love the show that it produced.
I'm very happy with their byproduct. Apparently, the next week they're gonna do the another interdimensional cable episode.
So I have mixed feelings about that because the first one of those might be my favorite episode of the first season.
Yes.
And the second one of those might be my least favorite episode of the second season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, well, I feel like the second one they did was like, why the fuck would you make us do this? So like they purposely
Yeah, they did
kind
of like make fun of it a lot,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's like those games that make fun of like how boring and grindy some games can get, but then it are a really boring and grindy game.
Yeah.
It's like making light of the fact of these negative qualities and then having them is not an excuse for having them.
A big example would be Ukulele. Did a bunch of that recently when the game came out. They made fun of itself the whole time. And everyone's like, this is really not funny. This is actually a really poor game. And I'm really sad that I donated to you on Kickstarter because this is a garbage product in its entirety. But yes, I'm very excited that Rick and Morty is back after that whole week of a Labor Day thing. I hate Monday holidays because Monday holidays mean...
Oh, you are so mistaken. Monday holidays
Monday
mean
holidays
Sunday
are good,
is a Saturday.
But for my TV viewing pleasure, a Monday holiday means that we are not getting a newest episode of a show that I like on a Sunday. And I would say the majority of the shows that I like...
I'm unprofessional.
Are you getting a phone call?
Yeah.
Is anyone good?
I don't know. Hang on a second. Hello? Hey, what's up, man?
Folks, James took a phone call, and we're going to take another phone call to ourselves. Caller, what is your problem? Oh, I see. You have problems with your genitals and her genitals. Okay. Have you tried maybe mixing it up a little bit with like a sauce? Perhaps like a ranch dressing, or even if you get a little fancy, like a Thousand Island dressing. But never the buttermilk ranch, because I feel like the buttermilk ranch really doesn't work well as a lubricant, and it just really doesn't feel good, and it makes everything smell absolutely awful. Next caller. Hello, Karen. Hi, my name is Kyle. Welcome to the program. Oh, you're a first-time caller. That's lovely, but you've been a fan of the Late Night Podcast for a while now. Wow, that's very nice of you. I'm so glad that you are a long-time listener, and I really appreciate it. What's your problem? Oh, so it's probably not locking that up, and so when it's going through the main pump, it's pushing it up both. Interesting. You really, really like to make out with furniture. Well, I wish I had a solution for you, but at the same time, isn't furniture great? It just listens, and it just accepts you for who you are and all your bumps and grooves, and every single inch of you just fits perfectly on that sofa. I feel like you should embrace that sofa and really just give it the business, because maybe the sofa likes the business, and everything will be okay. You're allowed to like things that are inanimate objects. TLC did a whole entire show on people that like inanimate objects. There was one episode where a guy was marrying a Ferris wheel. So nothing is impossible. And I think that you should really give it your all. And hopefully in about 3 to 6 months, you can take that sofa to meet your parents. And maybe your parents will not even sit on the sofa and just accept it for what it is. Your absolute new lover. Wow. We are learning so much about each other this evening. And I really, really honestly appreciate each and every one of my callers and listeners for that matter. If you have any problems whatsoever, you should either contact us at the Plucking Petals podcast at gmail.com, or you can message us on Facebook or Twitter. We don't have an Instagram. You can just follow me as a person on Mayor Wertz as Instagram. But please just keep those questions going. It makes me feel really good. I'm only editing that portion out. I did 5 minutes of great improv. So
Okay.
I'm not editing any of that out. And not this me talking shit about my own improv. How are you doing? Good?
Yeah,
Everything good?
everything's cool.
Cool. That's all that matters. I'm taking my socks off so you don't really get into podcasting.
Podcast time.
Anything else going on new in your life that you enjoy?
Yeah, not really. I talked about Made in Abyss. I'm talking about The Adventure Zone, which I'm loving, and it's
Okay.
like I want to spend all of my free time listening to it.
Can you listen to podcasts at your job? Yes and no?
Scantly.
Okay, cool.
So there is 3 beers are going at a time.
Yeah.
And like they all kind of hit and need to move into the next section at the same time. So you
Mm-hmm.
spin around, and then when everything's setting in place and you're adding hops and everything's cut up
Mm-hmm.
with the grain, very often, depending on the beer, can get like 20 minutes of downtime there. So
Okay.
I like shove some food in my face and I listen to a little bit of The Adventure Zone.
Are you still making those veggie wraps you talked about the
Yeah.
other day? Those sound delightful.
Yeah, so my new lunch thing, veggie wrap, just got myself a little wheat tortilla, some green lettuce, cut that up, got myself up red.
Mm-hmm. Is it romaine or iceberg?
It says green lettuce.
Okay. That's weird.
I bought it because it was
The
literally,
lack of specificity scares me.
It's nice though. It's better than iceberg. It's
Okay.
not romaine.
Okay.
I literally walked in to Giant Eagle. It was the first one that said green lettuce.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
It was
Next
the
to
first
bok
one there.
choy.
Grabbed it.
Yeah, and
grabbed
the
some
Swiss
peppers
chard.
in that same area.
Okay, what kind of peppers are you into?
I got a red pepper on my last one. I got like a green and a red. I like the red, I think, a little more.
I think the red tastes better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet red onion or whatever. I don't know if sweet's in it, but a red onion.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah.
And then a little bit of applewood smoked blue cheese. That's my little
Ooh, that's
little
your
nicety.
little caveat.
yeah,
Okay.
cucumber, and then just a little balsamic vinaigrette.
Okay.
Boom, that's lunch, baby.
Wait. How did you call that vinaigrette?
I said balsamic weird, and I'm not sure how I messed it up.
Okay.
But I know when it came out of my mouth,
Balsamic.
it wasn't right.
balsamic vinaigrette.
Balsamic.
Let's talk about our likes for this week. What do
Sure.
you got?
Yeah,
'Cause
because
you
I
didn't
didn't
tell me
you.
at all.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
like-
actually going with the McElroy brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm talking about the
That's
Adventure
wonderful.
Zone.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
So the McElroy brothers are content creators.
Yes.
They started this podcast because they wanted to keep in touch with each other now that they all lived in different locations.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, hey, let's just answer Yahoo Answers questions.
Mm-hmm.
Something to do to hang out together. And it just kind of blew up. And now they've got like a huge following and tons of content they're creating together.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So I actually found them either through you or your girlfriend. I can't remember.
Okay.
Because we were talking about Cool Games Inc.
Yeah.
Which is a podcast you mentioned on it before where they reviewed
That's no longer
video games.
in season, but yeah.
Which honestly, I don't hate. It was probably my favorite. I liked it more than my brother and mother and me when I discovered it.
Yeah.
Because the original Cool Games Inc. episodes, they would bring a third person on and then try and sell them this
Mm-hmm.
game. And I thought that was a major component of why it was really funny.
Yeah.
But they stopped doing that.
They dropped
like,
that real quick.
Yeah.
So the aspect of Cool Games Inc. is that, well, the podcast is that they get Reddit suggestions for games, and the podcast is a quote-unquote game company, and they have to basically pitch this game to themselves and like try to quote-unquote develop it and like try to make a game out of like a one-sentence suggestion, basically. And I'm not selling it properly, but it's like it's hard to sell
It
something
had
like that.
very,
It's
charming moments. There would be
Yes.
stretches of the podcast where I would like notice that I've zoned out.
Yeah.
But it has like some great like nuggets on there.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if you just want to like YouTube the Cool Games Inc. like clips, like
Yeah.
the little best of couple minutes that people have kind of given animations to and stuff are very good.
That one that Polygon actually did with the
Driving?
simulator, where the NPC that you have to deal with is like burning themselves on a cigarette lighter.
The game premise that they had to try and pitch was you are a driving instructor,
Yeah.
and you are trying to get this person to get their driver's license.
Yeah.
And so the example they gave is like starts like, well, you did great on your your written exam, so here we are to take the practical test. So why don't you go ahead and put the car in drive? And the person's just like, which one is that?
Drive. Yeah.
Well, D for a drive, a good mnemonic is the first letter of drive also starts with D.
Yeah.
Like your name, Daniel. That's not my name.
That's not my name.
This is weird because you did so good on the written portion.
This is interesting because you like passed the written portion with flying colors. So you like Cool Games Inc.
Yeah.
Which was part McElroy Brothers.
It was Griffin, who's I love little Griffin McElroy.
Little Griffin. Yeah, there is in the McElroy Brothers family there is 3 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
We have Justin, we have Travis, and we have Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
And they all make different podcasts, but they centralize and make My Brother and Me, and they also make one of your favorite new podcasts, it seems like,
The Adventure
called
Zone.
The Adventure Zone.
So
can you explain the Adventure Zone?
The Adventure Zone is Griffin is a dungeon master, and he has his 2 brothers and his father playing Dungeons and Dragons with him.
Yes.
And it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't exactly play the best Dungeons and Dragons because like I have the big rule book laying on the floor somewhere.
I can see that. It's on the floor. The cover is actually face down on the carpet. Some kind of like you shamed it, like it did something wrong to you.
He plays it more. It's like really good storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So the appeal of D&D is it's kind of like a very, very open-ended video game.
Yeah.
So the person who's your DM is kind of acting as the computer in that sense. So you can make anything you want to happen.
Yeah.
And Griffin just wrote this really beautiful, wonderful story that I would like read a book of. And just
they're making a comic book, I believe.
I hate that medium though. It's just not.
You don't
for
like
me.
comic books?
No, something about it, like my brain, it doesn't click well with my brain, and I just don't get a lot out of it.
And that's totally fine. I feel like some people would be like, "Whoa, what the fuck? You don't like?" I totally get that.
I respect the culture. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge nerd. Like, look at the
Mm-hmm.
stuff I'm into, but it's just something that, like, I've talked about. I've been getting more recently into anime. I feel like that's starting to wane now, but because I probably watched everything that was good and a lot of garbage, looking for more stuff that was good. And most anime is garbage.
Welcome to well, it's like Netflix. Like you find one thing, and then after like 3 hours, there is no longer a good thing in sight.
Yeah.
So,
but then there's a few. I think every anime, as far as I know, is like based on a comic. They're called manga or manga.
Yeah,
and
you read it backwards.
Yeah, right. So
that's all I know about it.
I have a phone app that I tried reading it on, and I did the flip. So it doesn't matter that people's shirts are like don't make sense and are backwards. Like I read left to right because English is left to right.
Exactly.
But there's a few like anime shows that I'm really into, and the shows I want to know what happens, and I try reading the comic, and it's just unengaging, and I don't really understand what's happening because I don't know.
Okay, interesting.
That's just me.
I get it. No, I totally get it. I read comic books not very often because of that same problem where I feel like I can't get into it because I have to do a lot of more work on my end. And I sometimes when I sit down and enjoy media, I don't like to work.
There are 2 exceptions for me. One was Calvin and Hobbes growing up.
Well, yes.
And that made a huge impact on, I think, who I am as a person. I love Calvin and Hobbes.
I can tell.
And then in undergraduate...
You're totally the dad.
Yeah. In undergraduate...
I don't remember his name.
Yeah. I read Y the Last Man.
Okay.
It's...
Yeah, I read a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's about like a plague kills every man on Earth, and this guy survives basically because he had a pet monkey. And it's just very, very well done. Like, I understand with that premise, it could be, like, trashy or whatever, but it was just, they were like, no, we're playing this straight.
It sounds like a 13-year-old boy's fan fiction. I'm the only boy on Earth. I'm gonna smooch all these ladies.
Yeah, so instead of approaching it through that lens, it was like, so here's how messed up that would actually be if that happened.
Yeah, this is like a shit show.
We're gonna try and show what the world would look like.
I think I listened to the first I read the first 2 volumes of that, and I liked it, and I just got behind and a little bored.
There's only like 8. I like that though because stuff
like
can
when
stretch
things has
on
an
forever.
end.
Yeah,
I'm very much like I like graphic novels that have a 1-book story. Like for the most part, there's like one I really like that I recommend. It's called Channel Zero, and it's very much like it was something that really affected me in high school because it was like the government's out to get you, and the only thing that's gonna save us is computers and hacking and stuff like that. And it really screwed with me in high school a bunch, and I highly recommend. That's more of like, there's not a lot of dialogue in it. It's mostly just art pieces. So it's kind of, I don't know if I guess I can't recommend it. Now I think about it, I can't really recommend it. I remember reading it like 2 or 3 times and having to like look up stuff online about it because I'm like, I don't think I get exactly what they're going for, but yeah, I like the whole, there's a lot of like journalism aspects of it and like covering war and like, I don't know, it's weird. And I feel like in this kind of climate, it's very, I might revisit that now I think about it. I don't read a lot of comics anymore, so I don't know. I had a bunch of Walking Dead comics, a lot of stuff from Jonan Vasquez, which he did Invader Zim.
Oh, yeah, I loved that show.
But before he did Invader Zim, he did a bunch of adult-themed comics.
Okay.
Like, he did one that is called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
I've heard of that.
I have it. Yeah. If you want to read it, it is like reading a Hot Topic goth poem for the whole time.
You now I don't want to read it.
I don't think. I think it's amazing because of the time it was released and the content that they let get through. Because it's like if you take Invader Zim and you just put murder in it. Because like the concept is like this guy is a homicidal maniac, but he kills people that are awful in this world, and he uses their blood to paint this wall, and if the paint dries, a monster comes out and destroys the world.
All right.
So it's like he's kind of a hero in its own right, but you don't know if he's like just crazy the whole time, that he thinks that a monster is going to come out, so he's just killing people to kill people, but also he's killing people that like are essentially bad people.
Kind of like Dexter-esque.
It's kind of a Dexter-esque kind of thing. And he has a neighbor that's like basically kind of like all the dumb kids from Invader Zim. And like he like really likes his neighbor. He's like this little kid, his name is Squee. He drives a tricycle. His parents are like super mean to him and like they hate him. They hate that he's born. They tell him that.
Yeah.
And Johnny is very much about this kid, and like, but he can't help because he's like murdering people, and it's kind of like this weird, it's like
you can't really take an apprentice. It's like,
exactly.
Well, if I was a carpenter, I would just teach this kid carpentry.
Exactly. So like he's riding on the street and like a head rolls by him and he's like, I can't help this. Like, I don't know. I recommend it. I feel like graphic novels are a good way to tell art, but not
good way to tell art.
Not the best way to tell art in my sense. Some people really like graphic novels. I don't give a shit. I like them. I like Walking Dead a whole bunch. But I like the show and I like the comic. But I don't know. It's weird. So back to McElroy Brothers. We've been drinking, so it's fine. It's okay.
Nah, it's so I also tried, each of the McElroy brothers have a podcast with their significant other.
Yeah, which is adorable.
It is. So I actually tried the first episode of Rose Buddies that Griffin does with his wife.
Yes. But explain what Rose Buddies is.
I'm about to. It is about The Bachelor and its like sub projects like The Bachelorette and there's things I've never heard of. But like listening to them talk about it made me like want to actually go watch The Bachelor.
I know, right?
And that's like the kind of like that I'm not into reality TV at all, unless it's cooking. But yeah,
and that's how good their content is as content creators. Being something that we would never like is The Bachelor.
There is an amazing skill in being. I want to word this right. You can show someone what's good about something. So he did an excellent job of explaining like the positive qualities of this thing that I would have never like paid a second thought to. Yeah.
And I think they ditched the Rose Buddies thing.
And now they have a Wonder something.
Yeah, because something happened in The Bachelor where it got weirdly racist and shit, and they're like, we're not gonna promote this. And they were just like, but also I like that idea that like they had this concept for a whole podcast that did super well, and they were like, it doesn't fit what we like, so we're just gonna drop it. Fuck it. Like, and I like that kind of demeanor.
They're not too afraid of like people only like us for this thing, and if we change, they won't like us anymore. We're really just trying to make the best content that we can.
Exactly.
But and then I recently watched it because I didn't watch it on CISO, the My Brother and Me TV show.
Yeah.
So the podcast I actually had a hard time getting into because I started at like episode 1 when I heard about it.
Yeah.
It's
a little rough around the edges.
Yeah. But also I didn't know them. It kind of had the King of the Hill quality where I never really liked King of the Hill the first time I saw it. And when I came through again and realized why the show is good is because like of who Hank is, who Dale is, who all the people are being put in these situations and how they react to these situations is why that show is good. Mm-hmm. And just you need to really know who Justin, Travis, and Griffin are to like really appreciate the humor in My Brother and Me. Mm-hmm. But it's really good because it's like commentary, and obviously some of these Yahoo Answer questions
are clearly fake.
Well, are so stupid.
Yeah.
But they have a way of like kind of ridiculing people in a way that it doesn't really feel like it's in group versus out group. It feels like even the person who wrote the dumb question could show up and laugh at it and be like, "Okay, you're like it's not caustic at all. It's like a very fun, welcoming sense of humor. Like you listen to it and eventually you feel like you're a part of this family, which is what's amazing.
It definitely makes me feel like they are like basically a cult film where it's like if you get it, you really
But I don't feel like you need to get it. Like this isn't The Room.
Okay.
Where it's just freaking weird and bad.
But at the same time, you told me that on this podcast, so I have proof that like you couldn't get into Bim Bam right away. So it's like, how did you get into it besides understanding the concept and culture behind it?
I guess you're right. Also, I think you told me to listen to Glass Shark and Justin being like, dug down in that, there's a glass shark in that deep dark water, fat kid. Like, was so funny. It just kind of like broke the seal.
I cannot take credit for that. That was definitely a Stoops thing.
Oh, maybe it was.
And my girlfriend.
Okay.
I actually don't know anything about Glass Shark. But that's what they keep referencing, so I feel like I should know. And like that, once again, that's a perfect example of being in the in crowd of this cult like podcast where people just get like fucking so up in arms about it.
It's just a segment where, you know, I'm afraid of in swimming pools that there's a shark in there.
Yeah.
Well, you can see at the bottom. And well, what if it's a glass shark? And Justin just went on this rant, making this weird, funny, kind of Cajun voice for some reason. Yeah. Explaining how, like, glass shark loves fat kid. He's down there in that deep, dark, deep water. And glass shark loves fat kid. Like, oh, it's so funny.
Well, like, I feel like that kind of, I think podcasts are like the new cult films, because, like, I mean, there's a bunch of podcasts out there that, like, My Favorite Murder, or, like, just mostly a bunch of true crime stuff now that just gets such a crazy following that, like, I listen to a bunch of, like, My Favorite Murder live episodes, and it's literally just people screaming the whole time because they're so excited about this shit. So what I'm trying to say is that we should probably do true crime stories soon, because clearly we're not doing this correctly.
I have no interest in.
That's fine.
I mean, there are a lot of things I think I could podcast about, but true crime.
Like what? Name 3. Go.
Beer.
Okay.
Video games.
Beer. Food. Cool. No, it's weird because fly fishing was not on that top 3.
I don't know enough about it yet. I'm more of an enthusiast.
But isn't that interesting? I find articles and like stories interesting of something that like someone has an interest in and they're learning to go through it.
I guess I could maybe do like all right, so I grew up just fishing for bass with like a $10 Walmart pole. And then I think it was a little better than that, but like just like a spin fishing pole. And then like, I don't know, I'm turning 30 and I wanted something to do with my time. And I was like, oh, I like fishing. I'll try this fly fishing. And it just clicked in a way that like I never expected.
Isn't that a good feeling though?
Yeah.
I feel like I did that recently at like all the cooking stuff that I'm doing, just like making food and like understanding the concepts of it. Like all I do is watch food videos now. I love it, and I hate that like this was like oh man, like this is the thing I got into. Like I could have like maybe helped research like cancer, like, but I'm like, I'm just gonna make this really, really good duck, and I'm gonna fucking crush it.
Yeah, there is like, it's great to be like selfless and dedicate your limited time to help make the world a better place by like battling against cancer. But it's also your life, dude.
Exactly.
If cooking a duck makes you happy, go cook that duck.
It does. Man, I cooked perch for the first time yesterday.
I love yellow perch.
Man, it was super good. I need to cook it a different way, but
have you ever had walleye?
Yes.
Walleye is real good.
Walleye's great.
Yeah.
So I cooked it in an oven, and I put like a thing of foil down and stuff like that, and I feel like that fucked up the skin of it because it made it all soggy. Which makes it not good to cut. So I just need to like pan fry it. But yeah, so what else, McElroy Brothers, do you enjoy? You enjoy the show. The show was great.
Yeah, so that's I will get back to My Brother and Me TV show was amazing.
Yes, it was.
It's only 6 episodes long, but it really is incredibly funny, and there's like, it ends very touching. Like you feel, like I said, you feel like you're
part of their family.
And they had 3 live shows this weekend, and while the people were waiting in line to get in, all 3 of them walked down the line and talked to every single person in it. If you were there at the show, you could have a picture with them. That's why, like, on Facebook, I'm following, I think, my Bim Bam appreciation group, and they're just a flood of pictures went up of people with all of them, because they just
that's
like
amazing.
Yeah, that's not. You don't have to do that. People already gave you the money to see your show.
Like,
that
you
does not give
you
you any more money, but they're just like making these people's day.
Exactly, and that gives the long-lasting fan group and fan club, and like, because you just feel like they understand you, and it's weird. I love it. I love shit like that. At the end of the day, I feel like I'm part of their world and universe. And it makes me feel important and like I contribute. And even though I don't only listen, like I feel like I contribute in some weird way. I don't know. Podcasts are weird.
No, it is. I mean, I think it's a great form of media, because radio is not great right now. At least Cleveland radio, I don't really like. If it's music, you got to get the advertising money, so it's almost always top 40 unless you're catering to like a Christian niche or an old school niche.
Yeah.
And talk radio, NPR occasionally has good segments. I like NPR, but it's just a lot of it. It's like, all right, let's talk about an antiquated form of jazz that no one. I don't want to listen to an hour special on that. Like, I don't care. So that's why podcasts are great. Like, for when you're driving, I wish my car had Bluetooth or like even an aux cable, because right now my system is I throw my phone in my cup holder, and that kind of acts like a speaker. That's just barely loud enough to hear when I'm on the freeway.
I feel like I just need to buy you a Bluetooth speaker.
I have one, but it stays here.
Just put it in the car. Tape it to the car. Just on top of the car. That's advertising, asshole. Let's do this. Let's talk about millennials, shall we?
Yeah, we're both.
Unless you have any more.
No, I think there's nothing else I can say about the McElroy brothers that would sell them anymore.
Are wonderful people.
I've either convinced you or I haven't.
Exactly. It's a weird. Okay, so if you had to pick one McElroy brother podcast to listen to, which one would you pick?
So my favorite, personally, is the Adventure Zone.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's gonna click for everybody, because I do think. Like, my Bim Bam could hit for some people. Yeah. That Adventure Zone wouldn't. I think it has more mass appeal. Because it's just like, it's a lot of aspects of being alive. And then, like, if you don't really like fantasy adventure stories, then Adventure Zone's not going to hit with you.
Yeah. So. I would definitely also say my Bim Bam, My Brother, and Me, to being your podcast of McElroy Brother Choice. And then you just kind of see what else is going on, whether it be Adventure Zone or Sawbones or Rose Buddies.
What's that one where they watch Paul Blart
every year? Till Death Do Us Blart. Yeah. That's a once-a-year podcast where the McElroy brothers and another
I don't know. I didn't know the other 2 people.
They watch Paul Blart Mall Cop, the first one.
The second one.
Is it?
I think it is the second one.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The better of the two one. And they have to watch it every year a day before Thanksgiving. And then if one of them dies, they have to like pass it on to someone else that they know.
Yep.
So it's just a once a year podcast. It's real weird.
The idea, I mean, I think there's a 2016 episode. I don't know if there's one before that.
There's a couple. I think there's a couple of years in it. Yeah.
So maybe they did the first one, and maybe like when the second one. I don't know. I only listened to a snippet of it because I don't know.
I mean, it's Paul Blart, Mo Blart. I mean, what do you want?
Paul Blart.
So let's talk about our generation and how we're just ruining things. Mm-hmm. I didn't find. My girlfriend Ashley sent this to me the other day. Millennials are filling their homes and the void in their hearts with houseplants. Are you aware? How many houseplants do you have, James?
There is an aloe plant that is Elise's.
Cool. Is that for all the sick burns that you give me?
I'll give you props for that. I like that.
Thank you. I tried really hard when I walked in and saw that aloe plant. It's been that for weeks now. I said one day I'm gonna make an aloe vera burn joke, and it's gonna be worth it. I have one house plant, and then I have a bunch of stuff out in the garden that we made. And only the pepper plant survived. So out of the 8 plants that we made, 1 plant survived.
You know what? We have fruit flies.
Yeah.
And last year we got a Venus flytrap.
Ooh.
And it had like 3 or 4 mouths on it, or whatever you call those.
Okay.
And all but one of them caught a fly, and the thing still died. Like, what the hell? It's like you're okay.
You bought the worst Venus flytrap.
You are doing exactly what you're supposed to. You should have all of the nutrients you need to survive.
Like you still fucked up.
What's going on?
This is why I can buy you at Home Depot for $5.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
See, I feel like with Venus flytraps, I had one as a kid, and I would have to like give it potato bugs. Oh wait, what do you call those things?
There's pill bugs, the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I have potato bugs, though.
You call them potato bugs? Okay, cool. We're on the same page. We can still do this podcast. Thank you. But yeah, pill bugs or roly polies is the thing. But yeah, I would just feed them those, and but then I decided it was too much work, and then they died. So.
But I feel like ours. At the time, we had a lot of fruit flies.
Yeah.
We had, like, the traps that we were cleaning out the sink, and we're like, we'll get a Venus flytrap. Mm-hmm. And it did its job perfectly. Why did it die? You had food.
Apparently it was just too gluttonous. I don't understand. Let's talk about some houseplants real quick. This is a story about Hilton Carter's girlfriend. I don't know who that is. This is an individual on the Washington Post. On Sunday mornings, Hilton Carter's girlfriend makes herself scarce from their one-bedroom apartment in an old Baltimore mill, which is already hipster in its own right. Carter, who is 6'5", which is a weird thing. Okay, so I know you didn't do journalism in college, but normally we don't put the height of someone in a journalistic story.
You do if it is related to the story. He plays basketball. It's exceptional because he's incredibly tall or incredibly short.
That is true.
He's a window cleaner, and he's really tall, so he can reach the top of the windows.
So he's like window cleaning his fucking ass off.
I don't know.
A bearded and sort of man who wears denim shirt and a ball cap with his peach shorts begins a 4-hour grooming ritual. Not his own, of course. That would be insane. Thank you, 40-year-old writer from the Washington Post, for amazing journalism. The hours when others are sipping bottomless mimosas, that's when Carter, a 37-year-old artist, feeds and inspects and prunes and otherwise tends to the Great Dane of a fern cascading down above his bed. First off, if you're passing bottomless mimosas to like prune a garden piece, there's a whole bunch of other problems here.
Yeah, this article makes me a little angry because it's like, this is just a dude.
Yeah.
Even if what he did was bad, it's still just a dude. Mm-hmm. But this guy has a lot of plants and takes really good care of them.
I was going to say the next paragraph is there are 180 plants here. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, That's fine. Is what we're getting at is the fact that apparently millennials are replacing all of our happinesses with plants, which is a weird thing.
Yeah, I get it.
How do you feel about
we're
that?
Replacing happiness with plants and dogs and avocado toast and
Look, avocado toast is actually not that great. I can probably make that as a problem. I like avocados. I don't feel like they're as amazing as everyone thinks they are.
I like them, but yeah, they're kind of expensive. I don't like them for the price point they're at generally.
They're expensive, and
they add a lot to a breakfast burrito, though. Like,
they add
I made that You Suck at Cooking breakfast burrito a few times. One time I did it without the avocado. Still good, but
Did you watch the chicken breast one he just posted? Holy shit, that ending. I laughed so goddamn hard. Everyone should watch You Suck at Cooking as a YouTube channel where he shows you how to actually cook food like a goddamn adult. But yeah, I feel like avocado are really good, like extra portion to things. But like avocado toast is so boring because avocado itself doesn't have a distinct flavor.
No, it's
just
a relish.
It's just like
or a
creamy.
garnish,
Yeah,
whatever.
It's definitely a garnish. And people think it's like this whole like super thing. I'm like, it's not. It's just you're just adding creamy to things.
I may be incredibly off base on this, but I've always thought of avocados as like vegan cheese. It just kind of fills the void that cheese.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It has like that similar texture. Like the taste isn't exactly the same, but I feel like it's
close.
The closest you can get to dairy without
actual dairy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So plants wise, like I guess we're just not having kids anymore. We're just having plants because you can buy them for $5 and you could stick them in a corner for a while.
But I don't have to stress about them. Like, well, how am I going to pay to get them through plant college?
I was about to say I don't have to stress about like what the school zone's like and like what other plants they're hanging out with.
Will college even be affordable when they're kids? It's getting so expensive.
Exactly. Maybe my plant should learn a trade like. Sticking.
Are you trying to think of a pun?
Yeah.
Did you fail?
Yep. I most certainly did. Yeah. So we'll move on then. My like for this week is weddings.
Really?
So I am going to a wedding this weekend, and I'm going to my cousin's wedding in Columbus, which I'm very excited for. I like weddings. I think weddings are fun. Even as a person who films weddings and I get paid to film weddings, I still think they're a blast. I feel like unless it's a shit show of a wedding, most people have fun.
Yeah, mine's kind of been a mixed bag. Like the last one I went to was an absolute blast. I had a lot of fun at.
Yeah.
But I've definitely had like a mixed bag. I've had like plenty that I'm just like, I would rather be getting my teeth cleaned.
Oh, believe me.
Yeah.
I went to a coworker's wedding one time. They're not listening to this. I don't give a shit. And he came out with his wife to Limp Bizkit's Rolling.
Yeah.
So that should be an indication of how this shithole of a person is.
Yeah, a lot of it is also, you feel like you should invite casual acquaintances. It's the polite thing to do. Mm-hmm. But it's like, if I don't give a shit about those people that much, and I know it's harsh words, obviously they like me enough to invite them to their wedding.
Yeah.
But it's like sharing in their special moment means nothing to me. Exactly. So if you're like, wedding is really simple and bare bones and there's not good food or music or drinks, and I'm not really like super close with you, then I'm not having a good time there.
Exactly.
So it's either you got to be like a good social event, or it's like, yeah, I'm not part of the in crowd, but thank you for like, hey, you're having this big moment with your close friends and lots of people there too. We're all just drinking, having a good time, and yeah. Exactly. Or it's a small like closed group,
which is still fun.
Which is fun if you're part of that closed group.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
So I wasn't part of the closed group when we went to my coworker's wedding, and they had an open bar, and I tipped very well. And that made it worth it because I drank a bunch of whiskey, and all my bosses were there because he doesn't clearly have friends So he invited me, who he only knew for 3 months at the time, and all of our bosses. I'm like, okay, that's weird. I don't know. Do you feel like inviting your boss is a weird thing to a wedding?
Depends on the relationship.
Okay.
Like I've heard of like horror, like I'm thinking of like Office Space is kind of my.
Exactly.
If you have that kind of relationship, then yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's like, yeah, you have a boss, whatever relationship, but there's also a certain like personal side to it, or
yeah,
like,
but like
if your company's small enough.
But like he invited our boss, and then our boss's boss, and then me, and then one other person, and at the whole entire company.
But then if that only seems to make sense to me if the wedding is big.
It is.
So
it was big.
Yeah, so it's really weird if it's like, yeah, you invite your boss and like some people like that, and you show up when there's 30 people there total.
No, there was like at least 250 tops.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty big, and I'm like, I don't feel comfortable here. So we drank a bunch of booze and then left. Mm-hmm. We got a ride home, so it was absolutely lovely. But I like weddings. I think they're fun. It's like normally everyone's in a good spirit. Everyone's hanging out. We're eating good food. For the most part, we're dancing. I don't know about you, but I like dancing. I like getting my dancing shoes on. I'm dancing. Yeah. I'm dancing. I can dance all day. I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's a fun weekend activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish they weren't so expensive.
I also agree in that regard. I feel like doing like a thing at a church and then doing a thing at a dance hall or whatever you get your thing at, like.
Yeah. It seems hard to like justify that kind of spending right now.
Exactly. Especially us being millennials and all of our houseplants now.
Yeah.
All your aloe vera, I'm sure over time.
Well, I need to get a house to put my houseplants in.
That is true. That is true. We are all renting at this capacity. So, yeah, I don't know. I like weddings. I felt like if we were going to do this on Sunday when I came back from Columbus, I would have more to it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of made a thing where like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And I like weddings. The last couple weddings I went to were a blast.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like, cousin weddings are nice because I have extended family I don't get to see that often, but I like spending time with.
Yeah.
It's an excuse to do that.
Exactly. And I feel like it's fun. I'm very excited. I haven't seen my cousins in a very long time.
That's exactly
what I like my cousins. Mm-hmm. I like most of my cousins. I have some cousins, as we've discussed in earlier podcasts, that are very racist and very dumb. So I don't like those. But they're not invited, and I had texted my cousin who's getting married to make sure that they're not going to be there. Because I already caused some shit. Because I can't help myself because it's fucking fun. Anyway, so let's talk about some happy endings.
Yeah, I don't know what this is.
Okay. So, our friend James we popped on Discord to see if James would have a suggestion for happy ending, or reverse happy ending, and then gave us a reverse happy ending, and then immediately texted me and rescinded that. Yeah. So this is the new reverse happy ending. It is pooping a clean poop where you don't even need to wipe when you're done. So how would that be bad?
I don't know, man. Honestly, that's like one of the best things in the world.
It is. It really, like, that one threw me through a loop. I'm like, I've been thinking this whole podcast, and I'm like, fuck, this is gonna be a hard time to pull this off. I don't think it's a bad thing because you don't have to wipe. It's a clean poop. And that means you're relatively healthy.
Maybe you go to that neurotic rabbit hole. It's like, oh my God, what is everything I've eaten in the last 72 hours? I need to live my life exactly like this going forward. Oh, there's the yawns.
Sorry, my bad. You start meal prepping like crazy, and then you just turn into me as a person, except just a better podcaster. So, yeah, I think there is no downside to that. Unless you're at a party at a place that is owned by a person that you do not like.
Nah, let's not go that.
If we don't gotta go there, that's fine. I don't want to. But that's the only way I can think this would be a negative experience. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
James, what are you into this week?
I already said. We talked about it earlier.
That's fine. Cool. Nice. I personally am doing a bunch of dumb things. And when I say dumb things, I mean things that I normally do in my life. On September 23rd, you can get a double dose of Kyle. I am playing at the Ingenuity Fest down in Cleveland. I'm doing a 1:30 set. And then that same evening, I'm doing improv with the Something Data improv group in the Lakewood Beck Center.
Data.
I'm working on an album. I am doing this podcast, the Plucking Petals podcast. It's a weekly podcast.
I've heard of that. I've never listened, though.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's fine. I literally just came back from doing an episode of the Sweet Nothings podcast with Tony and Freddie. They will be our next guest, hopefully, in case something happens. I think that's about it.
Sweet.
Awesome. You can follow me at Mayor Wertz and pretty much everything. And you can email us at thepluckingpetalspodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at plucking_petals. As always, this has been the Plucking Petals podcast with James and Kyle. And as always, I'm Kyle.
I'm past my bedtime.
Have a good night. This has been the Plucking Petals podcast after dark. This is a part where I may cut out depending on the audio quality content of its own piece.
Ba-dow-dow.
Ba-dow-bow.